Than I Can is a missionary film first made in 1954 by a Mr. Kingston Davis to show the life and work of the Franciscan missionary sisters for Africa. At that time, it was popular for missionary congregations to make films about their life and work to show as they made appeals for the missions. A film could say much more than words, as you know. And missionary films were shown in parish halls, in schools, in private homes, and anywhere where there was interest. Today, such films are archives, but they are still an invaluable record of the challenges and achievements faced by missionaries in the first half of the 20th century.
The title of the film, More Than I Can, has its roots from the blessing St. Francis gave to one of his brothers who had requested for it. The saint blessed him in these words, "I bless you as much as I can, and more than I can. And what I cannot be, may he be to you, if you can dare ask him." Mother Kevin and the sisters in those early days realized that the work before them was more than they could manage, humanly speaking. But they trusted in God's plan and His divine providence. And what had seemed impossible became possible, all for the glory of God. From the diary of Mother Mary Paul, who was the leader of these pioneer sisters, we get to know about their long and arduous journey from Mombasa to Munyonyo in Uganda. She gives us a beautiful account of the warm welcome they received on their arrival in their land of adoption. She writes, "On January 15th, 1903, the last day of a long and arduous journey, we arrived in Munyonyo just as the day was dawning. The lake lay calm and still, its distant shores half veiled by the mist which drifted over the waters. Far away we could see forest-clad hills sweeping down the water's edge. Faintly we could catch sounds of cooing doves awakening to a new day. As we gazed around our surroundings, we wondered what kind of life went on beyond those hills. Our attention was suddenly drawn to a new kind of sound that grew louder and louder as we neared the shore. We strained our ears to get what it was. Then we saw a fleet of canoes decorated with green branches come into sight toward our little ship. We descended very cautiously into the frail-looking canoe to the gliding rhythm of an African song, and so we made for the shore. Suddenly, it seemed to us that a slice of brown hill tumbled into the water. It was the surging of an impatient, enormous crowd which had come to welcome us to our new home. We had never seen nor heard the like before. Well, thunderous clapping, beating of drums, piping flutes, blowing of horns, all rose to a crescendo of a deafening clamor. With a rush and a roar, the huge crowd hit the water, and before we knew what was happening, the canoe was lifted shoulder high and carried to the shore. I looked at my companions. Sister Kevin was all excitement. She looked as if she had been left a fortune. Such was our reception into the kingdom of Buganda. These are the names of the 6 pioneer Franciscan sisters who arrived in this country in 1903. Sister Mary Paul Murphy was born in New York, USA. She was a gifted teacher and a wonderful administrator. For 10 years, she led the little group. Sister Mary Solano, formerly known as Pauline O'Shea, came from Ireland. She was a novice when she was chosen for the Uganda mission. She too was a teacher. Sister Marcella was formerly known as Rose Home from Scotland. She was also a teacher. Sister Alexis was baptized Margaret Lynch and hailed from Ireland. She became the overall supervisor of all our building projects. Sister M. Andrea was Frances Prell, born in London but of German parents. She did a lot of letter writing to solicit funds for our projects. Last but not least, Sister Mary Kevin, whose maiden name was Mary Teresa Carney. She came from Ireland. Later, she became the leader of the little band, but was an assistant to Mother Paul before she took over leadership. In spite of our fatigue, we were happy that we had finally arrived home. We settled in, and our next step was to learn the local language. Father Matthews, the superior of the Mill Hill Mission in Zambia, gave us our first lesson in Luganda. Armed with notebook and pencil, we each proceeded to laboriously build up our vocabulary.
Wiraba, Wiraba, and you write it W-E-R-A-B-A, Wiraba. Very well, my dear sister. These are some of the most common words of greeting. Now we will learn how they should be said. Visiting. Attention, Visiting. When you want to say good morning politely in Uganda, it will go like this. What is your name? But now you try it. So you ask, what is your plan? What is your plan?
Other than learning the people's language, there were other demands being made. The youth of the villages discovered that there were many new things to be seen in the sisters' compound. Their curiosity and enthusiasm became the rich material for our services. Quickly we put up a school for girls, and it is from this boarding school that 8 of them, edified by the sisters' way of life, requested to be allowed to enter religious life. The eldest, Pauline, was 17, and the youngest, Salome, was only 12.
Later. Mother Kevin was busy in the convent storeroom one afternoon when it came to her head. As it happened, she had a shrewd idea what was coming. For some time past, a group of girls had been asking to be allowed to become professed nuns themselves. Now the eldest, Paulina, came out with what was practically an ultimatum. To make certain, Mother Kevin warned them once again what the taking of vows would mean. Up every day before dawn, constant prayer, convent diet, to be cut off from home and family, from village feasts and dances, even from the burial ceremonies of their parents, and that might mean banishment from their clan. No fine clothes, only a plain habit. And worst of all, no bride price for their family. Their determination was quite unshaken. All were sure of their purpose, even the youngest, little Maria Salome, aged 12.
Oh mama, ntegeerera ddala tondeka amabega njagalira ddala okubeera omugole wa Katonda. Niyinza ddala okulaba ennene akatambudde abalwadde.
There could be no doubt of their sincerity, and to the girl's great delight, Mother Kevin consented to raise the question again with the bishop.
Naye tinsazanga.
But there was still one point which worried Paulina.
Nabo, ninakyo okusaba kiki mwana wange emindi nagireka.
Her pipe. Would that have to go as well? She is told that for the good of her health, she will be allowed an occasional smoke like it.
Webale nnyo webalire ddala nabo yagenda gyewa musenyeri kangende kakati kale kankuwerekereko nnyo.
Mother Kevin could not put off the request of the 8 girls to become sisters any longer. Since the matter was of paramount importance, she, together with her sisters, sought advice from Bishop Biermans. The bishop seemed to like the idea, but was skeptical as to whether it would really work out. For the girls' spiritual, moral, and Christian educational background was still very shaky. Religious life was foreign to Africans. and parents allowing their children to embrace religious life seemed impossible to him. Mother Kevin was not put off. She was convinced that it was the work of the Holy Spirit and could not therefore come between God and His holy will. In clear terms, she laid out her aims and objectives for the African congregation. She said, the African congregation would be educated, each one to the best of their capabilities. They were to be fully trained spiritually and intellectually to help in the work of evangelization, but like they were doing. Bishop Biermans gave his full permission and his apostolic blessing, promising to support the good work as much as he could. As soon as permission was granted her, she started the projects of building a novitiate and a mother house for the African congregation in Nkoko, Njeru. But the people there were steeped in spirit worship and other superstitious beliefs. Near the place where she was constructing the novitiate stood a tree under which the natives sacrificed white hens. Thus, the name Nkoko Njeru to the spirit of thunder that was believed to reside in the tree. The men to cut down this tree, but the natives there were afraid of offending the spirit god and the repercussion this would have on them and their families. However much she tried to convince them that nothing would really happen to them, the more their fears increased. An unusually heavy storm uprooted the tree, to the joy of the sisters. Maybe now her workers would agree to the chopping of the tree branches, since nature had done its part. She went for the